Hey guys, welcome back to Tactical Foul. I'm your host, Kyle Grew, and I am here with another phenomenal member of our staff and contributor to TCTV. Welcome, Stevie Shard.
Kyle, how are you?
Hey, not too bad, not too bad. Yourself?
Not too bad. Just getting. I'll be happy when I've done moving up to Midland. That's for sure.
Well, we're happy to have you closer to the area. That's for sure. One thing before we get going, I just in case you didn't notice, I want to make sure I did wear this specifically for you. Since you're from Manchester, obviously. So,
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I did throw up in my mouth a little bit before. Absolutely, yeah. And I feel a little bit sick right now. To be fair, my eyes are hurting me, but that's okay.
All right, fair enough. All right, so before we get this really rolling, why don't you go ahead and just tell everybody all the titles that you hold and the the teams that you coach at the moment.
Okay, I'm Stevie. Obviously, Carl just introduced. I am currently the head men's soccer coach at Northwood University. We're an NCAA Division II school playing the GLIAC. I'm also one of the coaches at Nationals Tri-County, and I am the ODP 03 boys coach, which is the Olympic development program that the state hosts. And my teams I have right now in the spring we're supposed to be in the spring. We're the 04 boys black and the 06 boys black, and in the fall I had the 01 girls black and the 02 girls black.
All right. So at the moment, the older age group specialist right now for sure. So that's where you.
Yeah, that's my forte at the moment. Apparently,
though we'll touch on it. I don't know. We've got to see a little bit of another side of Steve with the young one, so we'll touch on that later for sure. So first thing I want to talk about, obviously, I just want to kind of go all the way back to your childhood. Talk about you're obviously being from England, your family set up as far as in soccer and different things like that.
So I had a bit of a different growing up when it came to soccer when I was younger. A lot of people didn't. I didn't really have a privilege, but a lot of people I had a different as a soccer standpoint. So my brother played, was at a club when he was younger until he was 16, and then he decided when he didn't get his pro contract, he decided not to carry on playing at that level, and he actually came over to America and played down in Florida for an NAI school called Weber College.
Okay.
So he chose the route of America, he was a big influence. Actually, he was the influence of me coming over. And then, so for me, I was a professional club since I was 5 years old. So I trained in the academy from 5 and all the way up until I stopped playing and came over here, which was 18.
Okay.
Back then the rules were very, very lenient. So you could play for an academy and also play for like a travel club. Just because that's just the rules were very lenient back then. Like there was no, to be fair, when the academies happened, it used to be a little bit like tryouts here. So like in the summer, you could either stay another year and sign another year, or you could go to another academy if you wanted to. Where right now that's not the case. Like you can kind of shop yourself. But so for me, I was quite lucky as well because my dad was a technical engineer for a company that he used to design and create the pieces that create tools to fix airplanes.
Oh, wow.
So like my dad used to be at a point where, if you put a picture on the wall, he could tell you it was 0.00001 millimeter offline. So like it was one of those where my dad could look at it, he's like, yeah, you need to move that. And but what happened with my dad is that he was a professional scout as well. So he actually he used to scout for Oldham Athletic when they was in the Premier League.
Wow.
And then just decided that he couldn't, juggle family, scout, and also
it's a lot to do, especially being scout.
Yeah, and also he was working, 7 days a week, so it wasn't even like he could take time off. So yeah, he decided to not do that. But yeah, I was pretty lucky in that standpoint that, with my dad that being part of one of his jobs, it was quite good for me to get a realistic evaluation of myself and if it was any good. So I was at Oldham when I was younger, playing I was probably there about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And as you can see, I'm a bit of a big boy. You wouldn't realise that I was athletic at one point, but I'm a big boy. So back then it used to be 5v5s.
Okay.
So in the 5v5 world back in England that I was deemed too big. Like in my era, it was the tricky kids who could do all the skills. Where, like, if you look at the era right now, if you had someone who was like me, you'd want them instead of a little skinny kid. Like, we play in the GLIAC, and every time we recruit, we look at players and we're like, oh, we might not be able to toughen out the GLIAC.
Right.
You know, because Steve Walker was a centre mid in the GLIAC. He's 6'4". So getting these little tricky wingers now would be like, ooh, you know, you're really going to really want to see how they play. So for me, for the 5v5, I was deemed too big, and then I went straight to another club. And I was at a club called Bury, which actually where Steve's from.
Yeah.
So I was in their academy for, I'm going to say from about probably 11, 12. No, from about 10 to 13.
Okay.
And then when I was done with Bury, I went to Stockport, who at the time were in Division 1, which were in the Championship.
Yep.
I was playing there. I had many tryouts with teams. I was at United, I was at City, you know, went down to Liverpool to train with them. And just more of the idea over in America, a 25-minute drive is nothing. Where in England, you might stop 15 minutes in to have a sandwich because and you know what I mean? Like when we were younger, we used to go to a place called Blackpool, which is like the sea. So it's like going to Lake Michigan. And it was about 50 minutes away. And 25 minutes into the drive, we would stop and have lunch. We'd have sandwiches. We'd have a flask of tea. So like when a 50-minute drive for us was like, oh my goodness, this is so long. Where like right now where I live, obviously before moving to Midland, I drive an hour 15 to go to Northwood every day, which is nothing. But like back in England, I'd be stopping and having lunch halfway up there. So just the mindset was very, very different back then. So, you know, for my playing side of it, I went to them Stockport, then I went to Kilmarnock, which is a Scottish Premier League club.
Yeah.
Did trials with them. Stayed there for a bit. You know, was probably I was on the verge. I was on the verge of being offered in England they call it a 2-year YTS, 2-year pro. So it's a 2-year youth.
Mm-hmm.
And then a 2-year pro.
Okay.
So I got offered one of them, and as I was about to sign, because I'm an idiot, I decided to go and play the Sunday morning pub game just to keep fit, because in Scotland it was snowing. So I'd been sent home for a couple of weeks, and it was like, right, come back and you'll do your thing and you'll sign. And then next thing you know, I played on a Sunday morning on a AstroTurf, which is a turf field. Got the ball past it, just turned. No one near me. My foot got stuck and I snapped my ACL in half. So obviously devastated. Went to the doctors, you know, and obviously back then it wasn't as tech savvy as it is now.
Right.
So did my knee. It got diagnosed as a dislocated kneecap. So I did my rehabilitation. Went back to play. Got in a full sprint. Just collapsed. Went back to the hospital and they decided that I'd torn it, and then I snapped it the second time.
Oh, no.
So at that point, I was in a situation where, you know, Kilmarnock were like, yeah, we're not going to take a risk on you because, you know, obviously ACLs, you don't know if you're going to repair them. Right. So that's when I ended up going to Morecambe. Morecambe decided to take me on injured and do my YT and that there. So, I've kind of been in the spotlight. Well, not really spotlight, but I've kind of been at the pro clubs all the time. Yeah. But I also played on a travel team, where when I was growing up from about 7 to 10, my brother coached me. From 10 to 14, my dad coached me. And then my last couple of years before I was going to go sign, I played for a random team. This is how crazy it was. A random team which was 40 minutes away from where we lived. We never trained. We showed up every Sunday and played. And we won the State Cup 3 years in a row. We never had one training session, not one. We had 12. We had 12 players, no more, no less. It was 12 players, and that the first year they introduced the rotation sub. So once they got rid of the rotation sub, so they did it the first year. Said, "Yeah, you're not doing it anymore. Now we're going back to one sub off, and you're done." The coach kicked the worst player off the team, and we showed up with 11 every week.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Unreal. And we won, like I say, we won three county cups or 3 state cups in a row.
That's awesome.
We had 11 players, that was it. No subs, not even people on a roster, just 11 players.
That is great. So obviously there's big differences, but what are some of the biggest or most glaring differences between the U.S. youth system and the English youth system?
There's one thing only that separates it, and it's money. So when I play travel, I used to have to pay $2.50 a week subs. And if I didn't pay it, I couldn't train. And there was times when my family couldn't afford it just because of the way everything was. Like I didn't have, £1.50 on me or £2.50.
Right.
So the biggest thing but over there is that coaches did it for free. Parents never got paid. They volunteered the time. I mean, there's so many times where my dad had come on a Sunday morning and he'd have 7 people in his car which fit 5 because nobody else would. So him and another parent, the joint coaches, would have 7 each in the cars, and we'd go to the game and then we'd drop all 7 off. And my dad would get the company he worked for to buy the kit, and then that was it. Like, there's just no money. Like, like nowadays it's changed a little bit over in England. Like nowadays there's travel teams where these guys get paid to do coaching. But like when we were back that day, it was like, you don't have your $2.50, you're not coming in. Like, you're not training today.
Oh wow!
Like, it's like you paid to play, but you paid $2.50 here, and
you didn't pay very much, but
no, I mean, you probably paid if you paid $100 for the season, that would be like your max.
And that was travel as well. So it almost, for me, it kind of sounds like your travel, besides Academy, obviously, the travel there is much more akin to recreational soccer here.
Yeah.
Right.
But the biggest thing is that back in the day when I played, again, the academies didn't really have too much restrictions on you.
Yeah.
So most of the time, if you played an academy back then, it was like you can play for one team. So you'd pick the team you played for, and it was like, if we don't play, you can then play for them. So
right.
That's kind of how it was, because it was never a really big thing back then. You've got the class of, the class of 92, but even though those academy players then, it was when they were playing it, because my brother played with Gary Neville and Paul Scholes at Oldham. Paul Scholes is actually my cousin. So they played together, and when they got released, Paul and Gary went over to United, and my brother just wasn't good enough. He was a good player, just wasn't good enough for that level. But again, they were still playing on a Sunday morning for my dad.
So amazing.
So it's like, it's one of those things where like the leniency back then was really. Now I've got a couple of friends of mine where their kids one plays for Liverpool's academy, one plays for Burnley, and the other one plays for, I think it's Preston.
Okay.
And their restrictions are they can't play for any local club.
Right. So
like it's not allowed. Like you are.
It's kind of like how it is here. You're not playing.
Yeah.
There's not. Yeah, for sure. So gonna move on a little bit. Obviously you've already been through a lot of different clubs, different teams, and then you kind of said at 18 is when you stopped playing altogether.
So when 18, I decided that I didn't want to pursue a career in playing professional. Okay. So I just left, went back home, stayed with my parents for 6 months, got a part-time job at the bank, played semi-professionally, just to keep my income coming in. And then just decided to go visit my brother because he ran a soccer club over here.
Oh,
so he called me. He was like, hey, you want to come over on vacation for a couple of weeks? Can you get it off work? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I came over, watched him running the old Genesee Star Club, and just fell in love with coaching. Like, was doing coaching back home with the youth teams, just for free, just because I really, felt I could, maybe enjoy it. And come over here and was doing a bit of coaching for a couple of weeks just to help my brother out, and just fell in love. Like, I just called my mum up when I was in America. I'm like, hey, I'm leaving in August to come over. And she was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? I was like, this is a job I want to do. I fell in love with it. Like 100% fell in love with it.
Oh, that's awesome. That is for sure awesome. So kind of want to touch on just coming to America a little bit. So when you got to America, obviously, you fell in love with the soccer and the coaching aspect, but what were, some of your first impressions of America? And then what was the soccer landscape then versus how it is now?
So just to give you an idea of the soccer landscape. So when I first came over, was doing coaching, kind of thrown into the deep end, to be fair, because I didn't really have tons of experience when I was 18. Like, I didn't really have that much in it, to be fair. Got thrown into doing 4 teams, and I was like, oh my goodness. But just to give you an idea, when I first came over, I got offered to go and play with the Columbus Crew and Chicago Fire because of the connections of my coach back in England was an international coach. So he was a Northern Ireland coach. I forgot his name now. It's gonna kill me. I'll remember it. Jim Harvey. So Jim Harvey.
Okay.
So Jim Harvey was a Northern Ireland coach at the time, and he just had a lot of contacts over here. So when I first landed, I was obviously in the coaching, and then I got a couple of phone calls asking me to go and, do a month trial with Crew, and I was like, no, don't really want to do it. I lost all passion to play.
Oh wow!
Like once I came over and was coaching my kids, I lost passion to play. Like I wouldn't even play rec. Like I just didn't want to do it.
Just transitioning into a new chapter.
For me, it was more of a when I give a kid an explanation of something and they got it right, just the fulfillment on the kid's face that they'd done something right was like way better than anything I'd done in soccer playing. Like way better than I'd ever done. But when I first came over in the Genesee County area, because I've been here since 2004, there was only 3 clubs. Only 3 clubs. There was, currently at the time, there was Flint Steelers. There was 4, but the 4s at the time weren't big. Now they're very big.
Yeah.
The 4s that went away and then come back. But the 3 main clubs were Genesee Star, Flint Steelers, and Tri-County. So those were the only 3 clubs in the Genesee area. There was nothing else. And then since I came over, the more I've been here, the more it is just like, like it's and it's to a point where now, when I first came over, women's game was okay, and even though America were pretty successful on the women's side, the men were the men. Like it was just a dominant sport. Like women's soccer, honestly, I'm in the men's game, but women's soccer is probably bigger than men's soccer right now, without a doubt. I could argue with anybody.
Hey, it's going to happen when the U.S. women are so dominant, and then the men struggle to qualify for a world.
Women, and so the growth of it is like you've got in Genesee County, and I'm going to use Genesee County example because I live here right now as of tonight. But in a few hours, I'll probably be in a Midland County person. But when I first came, I bet there was probably in the 3 clubs about 1,000 kids who were playing travel and paying money.
Yeah. I'm from this area, and the only club that I knew about was were the Flint Steelers, because we played them. And how well they're doing now.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what I mean. Like you look at it and you think to yourself, wow, look at all these clubs.
So many.
Like look in our area in Tri-Cities.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there's
like 5-6 clubs up here, and it's only a small area.
Yeah, there wasn't much when I first started playing. So
for sure. So the transitions. Just over the 15 years I've been here, 16 years this year, is the growth of the sport is unreal, and the level as well. The level's got better and better and better.
Sure, absolutely.
Like because you've got people like yourself, myself, who have played it at any level and just taken an interest of wanting to give back to the kids to make them better, or maybe take a track that you did when you was younger, which was the wrong track to take, or the wrong coach that didn't help you, and you want to feed back to them. So when you've got a lot of people like ourselves who do this, and obviously we get paid for it, but you don't do it for the money.
No.
I mean, as well as I know, it's not for the money.
No.
Do you know what I mean? You do it because you're passionate about it. And when you get so many people who do that, like it's always going to grow. And it's massive.
Absolutely. So on the coaching aspect, obviously your brother was already coaching. Besides that, did you have, especially when you first started coaching, maybe in England or here, did you, attach yourself or, get any mentors, or did you have any inspirations as far as coaching goes?
So when I first came over coaching over here, I had a couple of mentors who were very, very key. My brother was one of them because he's the one who got me into it.
Right.
He was a Division I college coach for many years.
Okay.
So he got me into the coaching aspect of it. But, I had a guy who used to work for Nationals called Peter Langdons. So Peter Langdons was, we lived together for a couple of years, and he was definitely a mentor for me of, you need to do this, you don't need to do that. And if you know Peter, you know how he is, and he's like, but he definitely learned me structure. He definitely learned that there's a structure that takes place. And, the one phrase he always says to me, you have to tell a kid 1,000 times for him to understand once. And I never really believed him. I just figured he was an old man. He was given a philosophy that once was said to him back in the 40s. But it's true. Like, he was the one who taught me structure and how to build around the foundation. And then I had another mentor, which was Dean Pappas.
Okay.
He was one where when Peter taught me the structure, Dean taught me the creativity of how to, all right, I watched him do a warm-up with 10-year-old kids, and they didn't realize that they were doing give and goes and overlaps within the warm-up because they just didn't realize it. And he's got these 10-year-old girls doing overlaps and asking for ball, and they're spinning round and they're running. I was like, oh my goodness. And it was a second team, so he wasn't very good. And his big thing was you've got to be creative with them. If they're creative, you're creative. Yeah. So he definitely taught me the side of, let's take a pass and make it something different.
Yeah.
And those were the two big. Those were the two big influences for me. Awesome. For sure.
So obviously, like you've been saying, been coaching for a little while now. What are for sure some of the the lessons you've learned? Maybe some mistakes that you've made along your journey so far. One or two.
I can tell you one of them is stubbornness.
Okay.
I know that. I'm a Man City fan. If people don't know that, and if you don't know that, you obviously don't know me very well. So I'm a big person, love Pep, but I also have to understand that I don't have, Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, so the biggest thing for me, especially when I took over at Northwood as a head coach, I was very, very adamant that we were playing this style and it wasn't changing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I changed the style and the system, we started winning because I just didn't have the players. I thought I did, and I imagined it in practice I did. So the biggest thing is stubbornness. You've got to, as a coach, the one thing I've been learned over the years is you're there to provide for the players. The players are not there to provide for you. And I think as a coach, if you understand that you're there to provide the players to get the best out of them, coaches won't get as frustrated as they do when they think that they see what they want and they make them do what they want when they physically can't do what you want them to do. That was a big thing because I remember when I first came over when I was 18, I had this team and I've put this drill together. I can remember it. So I've got this team and it was a U11 girls team. Got this team and I'm like, right, I'm going to come in with this unreal drill. So I searched this drill. And it was just like passing and moving. And I put the drill in, put it down on the field. I started to do it. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? So I'm losing my mind. So my brother kind of come over, changed the drill a little bit, and then like kind of sat down with me after, went for some food after training. He's like, listen, you've got to understand that. Imagine these kids don't kick a ball. How are you teaching them to kick it? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, but he said, no. Forget what they pay. Forget the money. Understand that some of these girls are just athletic. Like I had some absolute horses up top where if we knocked it long, you weren't catching.
Right.
He's like, but just think about that. So I kind of had to switch. My idea was, I want to come over. We're going to play this English style. And it's a 4-4-2 and it's this and this. And it just was like, they didn't even know what 4-4-2 was. Like,
they didn't care either.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling numbers, playing a 9, you're playing at 6. And they were like, I don't know where that is. So yeah, my biggest take out of it is a stubbornness in coaches. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And I'm a stubborn person. You can ask my wife. I'm very stubborn in what I do. But unfortunately, if you're stubborn, you're going to fail.
Yeah. I think for sure, and I think we all have to learn this. The ability to adapt is probably the most important ability you can have in coaching.
100%.
Sure. No matter what
100%.
it is. So I do want to kind of go into, obviously we talked about you're the head coach at Northwood. I want to talk about the college side a little bit.
Yep.
Kind of talk a little bit about what the differences are between club and then college.
So that's a good one. That is a good one. So what I can tell you is that in club you're playing your own level.
Okay.
College you're playing men. Because when you come in as a freshman as 17, 18, you could be playing against a 22-year-old who's been lifting weights for 4 years. With a natural strength and conditioning coach who's got their physique to that point.
Right. Not
you in the basement with your dumbbells and you're on, TikTok or Snapchat. Like, this guy has got them into that physical shape for 3 years to peak as a senior. So I think the difference is that you get these guys who are studs in travel who are like, yeah, I scored 15 goals this year and I played, MSPS, Premier 2. And you've got these college guys who are like All-Americans from the year before, which means they're one of the best in the country. So the physical aspect of the college game it's night and day. It's not even close. It's, we have kids who come in who we brought kids in who were unreal as travel kids.
Yeah.
So it's taken them 2 years to get the idea of what college is about, because it's so totally different. And the game's different as well. It's a physical game. And I don't think kids understand that. Not necessarily the level, the physical side of it is huge.
Absolutely. No, for sure. So, and I think this is probably, we're going to have people on here that are watching that are, of varying ages, but probably, watching this, they're going to be older, end of high school and different things like that. So what are some of the key attributes that you look for when you're recruiting players?
So I'll go through each position just so it makes it easier for kids, because obviously they don't play the same position. So when I'm looking at a goalkeeper, it's organization. I believe you can teach a kid to catch a ball. I believe you can teach a kid to kick a ball and do what you need them to do. But their organization as a goalkeeper, to understand the concept of what needs to happen, is very, very, very important. If you have a goalkeeper that doesn't talk, might as well not exist. There's just no point of being around, because the goalkeeper is the only position on the field that can see everything.
Yeah.
No one else can see everything. No matter where you stand and what position, you see a different angle of the field, but the goalkeeper can see everything. So as a goalkeeper, if you can't organize and direct, it's going to be tough for you. As a defender, the biggest thing is, in the modern day soccer right now, everybody talks about, me and you, Carl, were just talking about Trent Alexander before. The biggest thing about a defender is, can you defend? Like, everybody's taken that away. Everybody's taken away, look at, Trent, he's great. He's got 12 assists or 13 assists, but have you watched him defend? It's not very good. And then you look at, and obviously I'm a City fan, so this is going to hurt my feelings when I say this, but you look at Wan-Bissaka, who is not very good going forward, but as a defender, he's absolutely unreal.
Mm-hmm.
His stance, his timing, he's unreal. And then you look at both, and this guy's getting all the claim for being a good attacking defender, and this guy's getting no reward for actually doing his job that he's actually supposed to do. So as a defender, your two things are, can you defend, and are you patient? That's huge. Patience is a big thing.
Absolutely.
As a midfielder, the biggest thing I look at is creativity. Movement off the ball, what you do when you don't have the ball. How are you helping the team? How are you important to that team if you don't touch a ball in a game? Because you could be you could get the man of the match in a game without touching the ball, all on your movement, because you're pulling opponents out of positions to create other things. And I don't think people understand that. Everybody's perception today is, what do you do with the ball? Which is highlight videos.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to show a run that you make where it's not a highlight video, because you didn't do enough with the ball. So for me, I look a little bit deeper. And then with forwards, played as a forward myself. So unfortunately, when I recruit players as forwards, they have a tough time because I played at the highest level as a forward. So for people to, or one of the highest levels. So forward is, what's your movement like? How do you interact with your midfielders? Can you make different runs? Can you create confusion between the defenders? Can you draw spaces for people to run in? It's not about scoring as a forward. So, yeah, movement is very important as a forward, knowing where the goal is.
Awesome. So the next thing I want to touch on is another aspect of your coaching, which I'll be honest, I didn't know about you until this year. Is your ability to coach the youngest of young kids and the absolute love of it that you have. So for anyone who doesn't know, Coach Stevie helped massively in the Junior Nationals program, which is our 4 to 8-year-olds. And he was an absolute rock star with the 4-year-olds, some 3-year-olds in there as well. So I got to know, where did that start? Where did all that start from?
So that was when I worked for my brother. We used to work for a company called Midwest Soccer Academy. Okay. And they started a program in there called Little Critters. And it was basically, the idea of the program was to fight child abuse. So basically that's where we did. So at first I hated it, 100%. Was like, no way are you making me act like a 4-year-old kid. I'm not doing it. Like, not doing it. And then just eventually when I started to do it, I was like, well, this kind of be fun. It could be a kid. And then when it started to give a drive in me was the fact that I then took over the Little Critters company part of it. Me and Rick Miracle. So we took over it, and I just I just remember when I was younger, and I never, no disrespect to any of my coaches, but I never had a coach who got down to my level.
Right, for sure.
And it's one of those things where, when I started doing it, not that I'm passionate about it, but you just have fun with them, and it takes away the seriousness of what you do as a job. And especially with me, in the college game in the fall, like, having fun is just, you can sit there and say you enjoy your job, which is great, but having fun in the intense environment of 7 days a week and you're on, 12-hour road trips.
Right.
For me, doing the younger kids, it just gives me a bit of reality that, and the kids give me reality that the game's fun. If you want it to be fun, it'll be fun. So that's where it came from. And now, like, I don't want any, I'm like, give me young kids. I love them. Like, they help me keep young. They keep me active. Because when you're with the older guys, you don't really join in much because they don't really give a crap about you. They're just like, we don't care if you can play. But like the younger kids, and I do it with my 06s, like I join in with them, every other week if we're numbers down. And they love it because they didn't, if you look at me, I don't look like a soccer player. I look like a retired defensive lineman. So the fact that when I get on the field with them and play and do what I do, they're like, I didn't even know you could play, Stevie. I'm like, well, just because I'm fat doesn't mean I can't play. But the younger kids, I love it. Like, I just love it. I love it where, and like I said, when, before, seeing you do something that's so simple with them and them thinking that it's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Is like, for me, it's so fulfilling because they remember it. They remember every week when you come, like when we was doing the indoor stuff, when I did the every other week I come and they remember my name because I did a stupid dance or I did a stupid noise when I did a turn, and they would tell me that, and I'd be like, what did we do the other week? Well, when you did this turn, you made that noise. I was like, okay, great. So let's try that again. So for some reason, people perceive me as the older guy and take the older teams and this and that. And I love the younger kids, but people don't believe me. Probably because I'm just angry all the time. People don't believe me.
You have to be. You coach college. You have to be angry, right? That's awesome. All right. This has been really good. And so now I think it's the perfect time because we're talking about fun. Let's take it to a little bit. We've been asking questions. Let's take it to a little more fun part. do some
All
rapid fire questions. We'll have this or that. We'll have a start, sit, or cut, and I'll give you 3 players to choose from.
Okay.
You'll give me at one point you'll give me your best 11, and then to end it, I know you know, I'm gonna have 5 trivia questions for you, and we're gonna see how you do. All right? You ready?
I'm ready for it. Let's do it.
All right. The first rapid fire question: Manchester or Michigan weather?
What season?
I'm giving you all of it.
Manchester. I like year-round rain.
All right, fair enough. All right, Red Bull or Monster?
Monster, 100%. Raspberry iced tea if anybody wants to buy me up.
Everyone or Indian food?
Oh my goodness, Kyle! What are you doing?
Well, you know, Chinese buffets are like they're everywhere here, but in England,
they're not that big.
Indian food is.
I'll tell you right now, Chinese buffets was my downfall of being fat when I first came over. It's got to be Indian. Got to be Indian.
All right, fair enough. One more food question: tacos or pizza?
Pizza.
Oh, okay, all right.
Pizza.
Fair enough. Fortnite or Call of Duty?
Fortnite, 100%. Get those dubs in. For sure.
All right, Stevie's cranking his 90s. I love it. All right, next question: Stone Roses or Oasis?
Oasis all day.
Yeah, it's pretty easy for you.
It's got to be Annie. I can't not do them.
For anyone who doesn't know, Oasis are City fans, and Stone Roses are, you know, Manchester United fans.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah, I can't do that. I'll get killed.
Fair. Yeah. English or American breakfast?
English all day. The American breakfast is terrible.
It's honestly, there's no real staple American breakfast. You know what you're getting with an English breakfast. That's fair. I get that. Sure. All right. So obviously your number one sport is soccer, but rugby or netball?
Gotta be rugby.
That's fair. Obviously I put this question down before I knew you were. Yeah. But just so we're clear, netball does run in the family because Paul Scholes' daughter is a professional netball player.
Yeah, she does, yeah. Alicia, right? Yeah, she does, yeah.
So, all right. I think these ones are going to be tough for you, by the way.
Okay, I'm ready.
The 2011 season for Manchester City or the 2002 season? So in case you need to know, 2002 is when you guys came back up, and obviously you know 2011.
You know what? Some City fans might kill me.
Yeah.
But it's got to be the 2002 season.
I get it.
Purely based on the fact that the heartbreak of getting relegated and then getting relegated again and then getting promoted and then getting promoted again, there's no better feeling. Like, I get it. Winning the league is unreal, but the feeling of the sorrow the year before to then get back up is just, I got to go with that. Absolutely.
All right, so this one might be even tougher. Maybe not, though. Probably not. 2018, when you guys got 100 points in a season, the first Centurions, that hurts to say, or the 99 season?
Oh!
For those who don't know, the 99 season, you guys were promoted up from the
Division 2, yeah.
Division 2, yeah.
I remember I was there. I could tell you everything about that day at Wembley. So 2018, it's got to be 99. It's got to be.
Both went with both the old school answers.
You've got to, because you didn't win those because of money. Everybody says right now when City win the league, it's because you got money. Back then wasn't money. It was pure willpower and fire. It wasn't any. I mean, some of the players we had there were terrible.
That's fair.
We had Gerard Vikings as a centre mid. If people don't know him, he was one of the worst Dutch players ever to play, but he was playing.
That's great. All right, so here's the start, sit, or cut. Okay. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Got to see who you pick here. This is the great debate: Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard.
You know, personally, I'm obviously Man City fan, all that. I thought my cousin was unreal as a player. So I'd start Scholes, I'd sit Gerrard, and I'd get rid of Lampard.
The one guy that actually played for your club, you're going to sit him, huh?
Yeah, for sure. He joined when he was 34. It's not like he joined in his prime.
All right, that's fair. All right. David Silva,
Yep.
Kevin De Bruyne,
Yep.
Yaya Toure.
You know, there was nothing like Yaya Toure in that. I think it was 15 season. He's got to be one of the best players. I'd go Yaya, De Bruyne, and Silva. I'd start Yaya, I'd sit De Bruyne, and I wouldn't pick David Silva.
That's tough.
That season that Yaya Toure played.
Yeah.
When he played for Pellegrini, the first when Pellegrini came in and they won it, I've never seen a machine like it. It was unreal to watch.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Here's a little bit. These are legends now.
All right.
Sure. Francis Lee.
Yep.
Sean Goater.
Yep.
Sergio Aguero.
So just so you know, Sean Goater was one of the worst forwards ever to exist, but would score 30 goals a season no matter what. Like, honestly, you watch him play and he pass you the ball, he'll go straight back to you as his first touch. I'm telling you. Honestly. I would go with Francis Lee, Sergio Aguero to sit, and Goater wouldn't be in my squad.
Oh, well.
Francis Lee was just a different baller back then, especially in that era where they weren't as successful.
Fair enough. All right. Now's the time. We've heard a lot of all-time 11s. Let's see if you're as biased as the other Manchester.
No, man. I'm realistic. That's the difference. I'm realistic.
All right. Let's hear your all-time 11.
All right. So my goalkeeper is Taffarel. If people don't know who Taffarel was, he was a 94 Brazilian goalkeeper when they won the World Cup, and he was one of very underrated goalkeeper, but at the time was probably the best in the world.
Okay.
I've gone with my right back is I played a 4-3-3. So my right back is Cafu. Brazilian legend. I mean, the right back position was made for him. My left back, I think there's only one left back in the world you can choose, and that's Roberto Carlos. Depends
on how you feel about Maldini.
Yeah, I mean, where you play him. So my two centre backs, Paolo Maldini.
Yeah, fair.
And Nesta.
Okay.
Nesta, I thought it was between him and Cannavaro, but Nesta was like, if there's anybody who ever got to Maldini's standpoint, it was Nesta for sure. Like, very underrated player and was unreal. So I'm going to throw some twisters here because people might not know these. So my three central midfielders were Patrick Vieira, who Phil didn't know, so he needs to do some Google search on that. Was a legend in the Invincibles.
Yeah.
De Bruyne, got to pick De Bruyne. Just him being as consistent over 3 years is not what many people can do. He's kind of where I come from with that. And I have to throw a City player in there. And then Zidane. Zidane is my all-time favourite midfielder. I mean, There's so many greats out there, but Zidane was just a baller. You just couldn't get away from him. Yeah. So my front three are very, very interesting because it's way before your time, this guy. So on the right, I've got a City legend called David Rocastle. So if you search him, we signed him from Arsenal.
Okay.
He played 2 or 3 years at City, but was unreal. They called him Rocky, is what they called him. And for those 2 or 3 years at City, he became an absolute legend. Like, it was unreal. Then on the left side is a guy called Giorgio Kinkladze.
Okay.
So I can tell you right now, if Giorgio Kinkladze played this day and age, he would emulate to Messi. Or just Google search Giorgio Kinkladze and look at some of the goals he scored. Back then, it was not about that type of player. Yeah. But if he played in this day and age, he'd be up there with Ronaldo and 100%. And even Walker would agree, and he's a United fan, so that tells you how much. And then my forward is... So when I decided to become a forward, I had a player that I used to watch. So I used to be a Sunderland fan. Like, I'm a City fan, but my second team was Sunderland.
That's fair.
So I had the privilege of meeting this guy when I was like 14, and I was like 5 inches bigger than him. There's a Sunderland legend called Kevin Phillips.
Yeah.
That, to me...
You actually know that one.
Like, honestly, he's one of my all-time favourite players.
Okay.
Like, he was just such an underdog, and You know, obviously I studied him because I wanted to be like him.
Right.
But a player that just never, I mean, he played for Sunderland when they nearly got relegated and he got the Golden Boot in the Premier League. As a team that was in like bottom four. And he scored like 30 somewhat goals in a season. Like, it was crazy.
He was insane.
So for me, Kevin Phillips has got to be the forward. I don't care about the rest of him. He's unreal.
All right. Hey, that's your team. I'll
beat anybody with that team. Anyone.
Love that. All right. Here we go. Here's the trivia time.
All right.
Let's see what you know. Mainly city questions, but I have a Northwood question in there as well. So.
All right.
All right. First question. Which former city leading goal scorer was once a United Academy player? I'll tell you this. I didn't go any farther back than the 90s. So he played for City in the 90s and early 2000s.
He was a former United Academy player. Sean Goater.
It was Sean Goater. Yeah, just wanted to make sure you knew that.
Yeah, sure. Sean Goater, yeah. Legend he was, unfortunately.
This one's going to be tough, I think. I think this one might stump you. Which former City player has the most caps for England? Not while playing for City, but all time. Just has the most England caps of any player to play for City.
So he was an ex-City player, but he played for multiple teams.
Yes.
Steve McManaman?
Nope.
Or Robbie Fowler?
It was Lampard.
Oh, yeah! Oh, no! I'm an idiot. See, he was only there for a year. I don't count that as playing.
I know, but he did play.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because there was a couple of those type of guys that were in there. Like Hargreaves and stuff like that.
Yeah. I count playing for a club more than 2 years. That's you got me there. I'll give you that one.
All right. Who for City has the most Player of the Year awards? I'll tell you this. He got 4.
When are we backdating from? Is it like 2000s, 90s?
I went back pretty far, but I will tell you that he played in an era that you would have watched.
Yeah,
so,
I would have watched. All right.
At least I assume.
I don't know, but I'm going to take a wild guess at some of the oldies that were there. Player of the Year. Now, is that Player of the Year that he got picked by City? Is their Player of the Year?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so all right. Yeah, Georgie Kincaid wasn't there 3, 4 years. Got 4. Oh, I'm going to go just random. I don't know if I'll get this. Niall Quinn?
Nope.
Okay.
Richard Dunn.
Richard Dunn got 4 Player of the Year. That's the equivalent of putting Walker as a centre-back playing right now. Really? I mean, he really got. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Carl, you could have named me 5 players with him in it, and I wouldn't have chosen. I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't have even thought about it. I didn't even know I got 1.
Fair enough. Fair.
Oh, you got me there with that one.
So, as you know, Sergio Aguero is your all-time leading goal scorer.
Yep.
Who did he pass to break that record?
You know what? I knew you was going to ask me this question. I, for some reason, thought you knew it, and I knew the answer, and I've gone a brain fart.
He held the record for a long time.
I'm gonna. It's got to be one of the oldies, so I'm gonna go with Trevor Francis.
No. Eric Brook.
Yeah, he was way
yeah.
way back.
Like I said, he held it for so long. I assume he's probably a name.
He's probably in the 50s. I'm thinking maybe the 60s.
He's probably in like the. I think he played in the 50s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, I remember that now.
For you, but hey, he held it for so long. I thought maybe.
Wow, yeah, I do remember that now. You said it.
You would think it would be broken before then, but yeah,
you got to be good to break it, aren't you? Let's be honest.
Fair enough.
I'm one of the City fans who'll admit that we wasn't good for very long.
All right. So here's your last question. In the 2018-19 season, who was the leading goal scorer for Northwood? I'll tell you, they had 4 goals. Uh-oh.
I think I know. I think I'm. You know what? It's one of 2 people. It's one of 2 people. And I think I'm going to say one and you're going to tell me the other.
Okay.
Teddy Stacey?
Who's your second guess?
Jack Doyle?
No.
Was it Hobbs then?
It was Hobbs. It was Austin Hobbs.
So I originally was going to say Hobbs. I'm going to tell you that right now. I originally was going to say Hobbs. But I remember that Teddy got a lot of points that season.
Yeah, I think Teddy had – I
think he had the most points because he got a ton of assists.
I'm actually pretty positive that you're right about that.
That's why I was confused. I was like, well, I don't know if he got assists or goals.
I'm pretty sure you are correct on – let me see. I can actually double check this.
I'm pretty sure that Teddy got more.
Teddy Stacey had – he definitely had more.
See, that's where you had me. But he had a ton of assists, right? He only had like 2 goals.
Yeah.
If I'm mistaken. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I knew it was one or the other.
So, yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Not bad. You got some right. You got, it's tough.
Embarrassing, that. I got 1. I don't know my own team.
Listen, I had to come back strong with the trivia after the 09s and the 2010s. Absolutely battered my questions, all right? I needed it for my pride, Stevie. So, all right.
Well, I'm glad I can help you there.
Before we go, is there any last words that you'd like to say to everybody?
The biggest thing right now, obviously, we've got the COVID going on. The one thing I'm going to tell everybody when they go back to play soccer is just enjoy yourself. Don't take it serious. I mean, coaches will kill me for saying that, but you got to enjoy yourself. If you don't enjoy yourself, you're never going to want to play.
Absolutely. That's great advice for sure. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's a game that you can enjoy for a lifetime if you allow yourself. So for sure. Well, thank you so much, Stevie. It's been a pleasure. I've had a lot of fun. So this has been Tactical Foul. I'm Kyle Grew. This is Stevie Shard, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.